What is up, everyone? This is Spire Fan. We just got back from a great July in-person 2024 in-person Pokemon TCG Highlander monthly. A lot of cool decks. We had a new player named Quinn. You'll see him on the footage here. Thanks to him for showing up, and yeah, thanks to all our players for showing up. It's a lot of great competition overall. Speaking of competition, let's get right into the matches. So round one is K. Willie versus Ryan Green. This is by far already a classic matchup. Ryan Green hasn't played water in quite a while, but here you go, starting with Wishy Washy, getting out the Finizen, Lapras, C-Dot, and Oshawott on the first turn because of Wishy Washy's call for family. So very strong first turn there. K. Willie, speaking of a very strong first turn though, K. Willie's playing Skarmory, and Skarmory can dish high damage ASAP. Looks like you got a Rocky Helmet on Skarmory, which means if Ryan hits into Skarmory, he'll take 2 damage counters. Also, if an opponent has, if a Pokemon has a certain HP threshold and they try to retreat, it's like 40 or more, Skarmory's Pokebody will put 3 damage counters on them. So very punishing Pokemon, very amazing lead. We see the Alolan Sandslash up, trying to do spread damage there with a special metal. We see Ryan play a Lysander with his Samurott out. Samurott allows you to take 20 less damage thanks to his Pokebody, and basically his first attack says that the opponent is marked down to 50 HP from this attack. They're just knocked out altogether. So with Ryan's deck, he's trying to push Shift Tree level X, which turns all your opponent's active Pokemon into an EX always, while your Pokemon are never an EX. So he has these different ways to punish them, like Wishy Washy there, and Palafin. And Palafin's a new Pokemon to Highlander, which basically says if the opponent's Pokemon EX knocks out your non-EX, they're not knocked out, and they're left at 10 HP, and then you switch Palafin with your active Pokemon as a Pokepower. So Ryan kind of has this kind of water, utility, brute force, anti-EX deck, while K. Willie is playing his classic spread strategies. It's the same deck, basically the same strategy overall from the past few tournaments, but this Highlander is a lot like a fighting game, and I can definitely attest that K. Willie has improved a lot as a player. So you can already see he's already pushing a lot of new different tactics and strategies. We see the Stoutland, which is an anti-EX Pokemon, but with Shift Tree level X out, Shift Tree will not be an EX. We see the Headringer on Stoutland. That's a very good tool card to run with Shift Tree level X, because the opponent will always be an EX. You can attach Headringer and make their attacks cost 1 colorless more. So it's very good on Ryan to apply that type of pressure here, and he's using Ominous Omen, which is an attack by Shift Tree level X that basically marks one of your opponent's Pokemon, and they can't use Poke Powers, and they take some chip damage with damage counters. So it's definitely a great utility attack and marking your opponents basically for a future knockout or just locking them down. But speaking of, K. Willie's kind of holding his ground with Stoutland here, because Ryan's going to have to discard a supporter to play a supporter with Stoutland as the active. And we see Mysterious Shard on Samurott, which basically says Samurott can't be hit by EXs the next turn, then you discard the Mysterious Shard. And with Shift Tree level X, it turns the opponent into EXs. Okay, we see the Rescue Stretcher getting that Palafin back. Looks like, was it Palafin and Arctovish? Speaking of, there is Arctovish. I think he cycled in Palafin and Wishy Washy. But here comes Arctovish, another anti-EX Pokemon. Can just downright stop EX Pokemon from attacking. But he doesn't have Shift Tree level X out anymore. So he's going to go for the Giga Impact, hits K. Willie for 100. Note the prizes, 2 prizes each. How does K. Willie respond here? It's a very close set. I remember watching this, time was called, but because both players were tied in prizes, they went, it was like around 15 something minutes past overtime for these two, because it's whoever takes the next prize wins. And Ryan can't attack next turn with Arctovish, and K. Willie's trying to gauge how he can get that final knockout. Arctovish is pretty bulky. Speaking of bulky, Kyurem, 100 HP on a fully evolved basic, and there's the Mysterious Shard. But the one thing that K. Willie has been doing to bypass all these walls in this matchup is some of his spread damage, like with Rocky Helmet, it's damage counters and Trevenant Break. It's not damage. Damage counters are a perfect way to bypass a bunch of walls that prevent damage. You saw the Eco Arm from Ryan Green, able to cycle in 3 Mysterious Shards, but that wasn't enough, and he actually goes down to K. Willie. K. Willie was able to lock it in with Trevenant Break at the very end. So props to K. Willie. That was very good. That's his first time beating Ryan. Ryan's definitely pretty famous in the Highlander scene for being one of the best players. I think he's always been one of the best players in Kansas City in terms of Pokemon for well over 10 years. He's definitely brought up the Highlander. So props to K. Willie on that win, and props to both players for bringing cool decks. Round 2 is Sax versus Quinn. Quinn is our new player. Quinn is playing a deck very similar to Lasagna's. It's Abomasnow, Chata, Arctovish, very bulky and disruptive Pokemon. Basically a hard defensive disruption deck that's able to take a lot of surprising KOs because of Pokemon like Abomasnow and Wailord, and he's running Kyogre, who can do surprise spread damage as well. Sax is running his own Shift Tree level X deck. You're seeing here, you see with that Lycanroc active. Lycanroc can punish EXs basically for each of your opponent's EXs out. He requires less colorless energy to attack. We see Hisuian Arcanine, which says if the opponent is an EX, he'll do more damage, and the Choice Band. And Sax is running his own Palafin. Kind of a funny inside joke. It's not even an inside joke. Ryan and Sax brought their own Shift Tree level X Palafin decks without coordinating with each other. And Sax messages Ryan on Facebook a few days leading into the tournament, and he's basically like, hey, look what I'm playing. And Ryan just starts laughing because he's also playing that. But they're running completely different elements here. Sax is running Fighting and Lightning, while Ryan is running Water. So we see the Wailord from Quinn. Wailord's got a lot of HP, 190, so it could be pretty tough for Sax trying to climb over that. We see the new theory. We see the Poison Barb on Wailord, which is very good, allowing for Wailord to kind of counter with inflicted poison. But it looks like, and Sax is running his own Stoutland, so I know he and K. Willie talk strategy sometimes, and Stoutland just a very good anti-EX Pokemon, able to support or lock the opponent. We see the Serena, so he can draw cards, and looks like Quinn's promoting Komala. I like the Assault Vest there, able to block off some damage against Pokemon with special energy. Oh, nice Copycat. I think this was like Copycat for like 13. So props to Quinn for doing that. And again, this was the first time Quinn's ever played Pokemon TCG, and he's already looking like a professional player here. So props to him. Sax takes it with his lock with Stoutland. But yeah, again, props to Quinn for just kind of going crazy. You know, he definitely kept his momentum up in that game. Round 3 is Gage versus Ryan. So Gage Hoover versus Ryan Green. Gage is playing Clefable, Metagross, Mawile. So basically, in a nutshell, you can use Mawile to make your opponent play down basic Pokemon from their hand onto their bench. Metagross can pull them up with Magnetic Reversal. You also run Pokemon Catchers. And Clefable can also pull them up thanks to Cleffa. And you could run Pokemon like Machamp to just use Takeout and get knockouts, or you can run like he's running Galarian Rapidash to do high disruption and wall out EXs. See the Scream Tail trying to get some energy on his board. Looks like he started with Mawile, which is a great Pokemon to start with overall. Speaking of good Pokemon to start with, Ryan starts with Wishy-Washy. Good call on his end, able to do Call for Family there, and you already see Palafin on the bench. Arctovish, Shift Tree is ready with a Rainbow Energy. So we see Clefable, level X, able to heal 20 damage from your Fairy Pokemon or Pokemon with Fairy Energy attached. And Gage is running 3 Rainbow and 3 Aurora Energy. So Pokemon like Metang and Machamp are able, or Metagross and Machamp are able to benefit from Fairy Garden, Fairy Drop, and Clefable level X in this way. Aromatisse can also move energy around. He also plays Clawitzer. So definitely a wide typing pool, which also helps with Xerneas' Rainbow Spear. So you see the Clefable, looking like Clefable is, he pulls up Arctovish, and I think he's going to copy Giga Impact for 100. And then they're kind of working at, this is an interesting thing. Clefable can copy the opponent's attacks with Metronome, but he has Palafin out. So Palafin's going to stop the knockout on Arctovish. So he decides to use one of Arctovish's other attacks to not knock it out and try to get a bonus. There's like Hard Face with a defensive bonus, and there's also Primal Freeze, that's anti-EX, so you can definitely do Hard Face to do a defensive buff there. We see Shiftry level X is out, and now Shiftry himself, he has a Poke Power that de-evolves 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. He has Seal Off, which turns off Poke Bodies on the opponent's Pokemon, and it also turns off Poke Powers on your opponent's EXs, basically until Ryan's next turn. So you actually can get a lot of control by turning off powers and bodies. He basically just left Metagross with one option. Speaking of, Metagross is active, ready to go with a Rainbow. I shouldn't say ready to go, but Rainbow will help it pre-retreat with that Fairy Garden out there, so you can definitely wall with Metagross at the moment. Okay, we see Kyurem loaded up with a bunch of energies, looking like he's going to Glaciate, which you discard 1 energy and do 30 damage to all your opponent's Pokemon. And with Metagross, the HP of all Pokemon in play are 20 less. He definitely does the Glaciate there, creating a basically KO range for a lot of Gage's Pokemon. And onto Gage's, or for Ryan's Pokemon against Gage's. And he was able to just kind of lock in after that Glaciate and take the game there. Alright, round 4 is Jate versus K. Willie. Jate is playing Rayquaza, Thundurus, Sandy Shocks. So the centralized idea of this deck is that Sandy Shocks and Rayquaza can both accelerate energy pretty fast with their Poke Powers. They're both fully evolved basic Pokemon, so you can get energy from the discard pile ASAP. Now, Sandy Shocks does require the opponent to have 2 prizes taken, but that mid-late game you can just play them down and then get those energy pretty fast. Rayquaza you have to flip heads, but you can keep getting lightning energy. And then you run cards like Energy Switch. He definitely runs a max count of that to move energy around. So it's just a quick way to accelerate energy and build up your attackers. Like you see with Thundurus here, you see a Mareep. Ampharos is able to lock down powers on any Pokemon with a damage counter on them. And then Golem, which can mark 3 targets for 1 energy and do 20 to each. So Thundurus has a spread attack that does 10 to all your opponent's basic Pokemon on the bench, while doing some decent damage on the opponent's active for 2 energy. So what can happen is you can start Thundurus, blitz the opponent, and then once you get Ampharos out, all those opponent's Pokemon that were marked can't use their powers. We already see Alolan Golem on the bench with 2 lightning, while Thundurus has 3 lightning, looking to use Disaster Volt soon. But we see Trevenant break. Trevenant is able to make your opponent have to discard 1 item to play an item. So something Jade's going to have to consider. I talked about how his energy switches are good, but now he's going to have to pay a cost for that. Okay, we see the special lightning to draw 2, which is very good. Speed energy can be very helpful in an aggressive deck like this. And it looks like he already went for a knockout on Trevenant there. We see the Alolan Golem. He's kind of contemplating what to do here. Now Alolan Golem basically gets stronger for every damage counter on him, and then you can choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and do 20 plus that much more damage on them. So it looks like he knocks out Bronzong that way. Pretty good momentum for Jate there. But we see K. Willie with Aegislash, Leftovers, Defender. Aegislash doubles all the damage counters on your opponent's side, and then Defender and Leftovers are very good defensive and healing cards, respectively. So he's basically going to try to tank Aegislash while setting up the KO clock on all the Jade's Pokemon that have damage counters on them. We see the Sandy Shocks, able to use Sandy Shocks' Poke Power, gets a Lightning attached to him, and looking like K. Willie again is committing to Aegislash over and over, and he takes it. It's definitely a Aegislash sweeper play, which was a big factor in a K. Willie's deck for sure. He's been kind of pushing spread strategies in general, and it's really paying off. I'm happy for him. I'm also happy for Jade to come back, and he's playing more Rayquaza. He played a Rayquaza, Exeggutor, Deoxys deck in the past, and this is a more lightning aggro-based version of a Rayquaza core deck. Alright, final round is Sax versus Ryan Green, and you know, this is a Shiftry level X Palafin mirror, but you know, I say mirror match, but again, Sax is bringing lightning and fighting Pokemon, and Ryan's bringing water Pokemon, so definitely a hugely different branch for elements from both sides here. Looking like that Ryan is going to promote Kyurem with 2 water, able to wall with 100 and threaten with Outrage. And he already has Shiftry ready. He has Palafin ready. Sax is on a Nuzleaf and a Finizen. And Shiftry just used his Poke Power to de-evolve Nuzleaf. So that actually hurts Sax's momentum a lot. This mirror match, quote mirror match, can come down to basically how both players utilize Shiftry. And in this case, Ryan used Shiftry's Poke Power to de-evolve and slow down Sax's Shiftry Palafin core. Because Sax, yeah, again, he's using Shiftry Palafin and Hisuian Arcanine, and Ryan here is using Samurott instead of Hisuian Arcanine, and he's also just using Samurott because, you know, he's bulky, he takes 20 less from attacks, and he has just great attacks in terms of damage, and even spread damage with Pike. So we see a burn on Samurott, and basically Sax has to, you know, plunge for resources to make sure he can try to take down Samurott, or else Samurott might still continue taking KOs. He finally gets the Shiftry set up, but he hasn't gone into the level X yet. I wonder if he's thinking to use a different mechanic here, potentially a Z Crystal, or Arcanine Break if he recycles in his Hisuian Arcanine. Okay, we see the Thornton, looks like he's doing a swap here. Yep, okay, we see the Bolthund. Bolthund will knock out an EX that has damage counters on it, so that's another cool creative thing you can do. And because all of Ryan's active Pokemon will be EXs from Shiftry level X, it's a great combo. But as we're seeing, Ryan is just committing to the Samurott sweeper play, and he's holding his ground with Samurott, which can be very tough for Sax to kind of reverse the momentum while Ryan builds his board. You see all that energy on Shiftry level X. Palafin's ready with a Floatstone. Kyurem's at full HP. Wishy-Washy's at full HP with a Water Energy. So really, that matchup does come down to just bold, momentum-based play. And we saw that Ryan was just able to... I think a big crucial thing there was that de-evolving Nuzleaf with his own Shiftry. He got Shiftry out faster, and was able to use his anti-EX strategies before Sax, just overall. But Sax ended up winning the tournament, so because of the way that Resistance works, and you know, everyone played everyone, there were 6 participants, K. Willie ended up beating Ryan. And so, you know, in the algorithm there, that's a great win for K. Willie, and Sax was able to beat K. Willie. So there's definitely that kind of like priority win system going on there. And then I know Quinn beat K. Willie. So Quinn beat the guy that beat Ryan. So, you know, it's really cool to see all these dynamic matchups and all these players express themselves in different ways with these decks. So I look forward to next month. That is when TRK is flying in from the Netherlands to play. Should be a lot of fun. We expect quite a few people there, so it should be a lot of fun. And once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you around. Have a good one.